why can't you just do one of these? Why can't you just do social CRM without the social media stuff? Because the social media seems kind of fluffy. Or why can't you just do one or the other? So this is why. Basically, social media alone, it's conversation. There's nothing wrong with conversation. It gets the ball rolling, gets the fire started, but it's not going to fulfill any business need because it doesn't integrate into a system of record. So the only way to prove return on investment here, the only way to prove that you close that deal is that systems of record integration. And I know the big question is, but wait, we have people here from like 7 different brands. How do we do this? Well, we integrate with 7 or 21 different systems of record. So there's a little bit of an IT challenge, but this is not insurmountable. Has anyone heard the phrase clicks not code? So the way that all these databases have been going in the lab, yeah, you're like, I heard at that Salesforce conference. Yeah. So basically, the way that databases have been going in the last 2 or 3 years is that these computer companies like Salesforce and Oracle, all the big, sales software brands are realizing that most people just don't know how to code, and they're having trouble selling software to people that don't know how to code. So what they've done is they've changed the software so that folks like you and me who don't know how to write code can actually make stuff happen in the software. So it's a lot friendlier than it used to be. And so social CRM is about taking all these social media tools like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc., and connecting them to business processes to make outcomes happen. So I'll give you a totally day-to-day example. Stonebridge Hospitality out in Colorado, they hired a new director of sales. It happened at 9 in the morning. It was back in February. And I went on my social CRM software, this little program called Inside View. It sent me an alert that this guy got hired at 9:02 a.m. because it ran in an obscure Colorado publication. I called his assistant at 9:03 a.m. to send him a copy of my book. He was freaked out. He was like, "How did you know this?" And I said, "Oh, I was reading the Rocky Mountain Business Journal." He's like, "But you're in Oakland, California." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." He's attending one of our webinars. That's social CRM. So, all right, let's get down into the nitty-gritty. How does this stuff work? So there's all these communities out there around the brand. So let's say the one up on the left, the top left there, let's say that's your current customers. Those are the people who have already stayed with you. And then down on the bottom left there, those are your prospects. So social CRM, social customer relationship management stuff, is like this big box here in the middle. And so there's 4 layers that you have to get all these people through to turn it into a business outcome. So the first one is community management. So there's got to be like some kind of community management software. And here in the Bay Area, this is like sort of the New York of community management. We've got some great companies here. Like Lithium is based down in Emeryville. They do good community management, especially for a big brand like a Starwood or a Marriott. I'm trying to think who else is really good at this. Awareness out in Boston. McDonald's is using them. JetBlue in the hospitality industry is using them. I'm trying to think of other really big old ones. Radiant 6 is out in Halifax, Nova Scotia. They're pretty sweet brand for this. So first you filter all that information through that community management software. Then it's got to go into the social analytics engine. And that's like another piece of software. Sometimes those two are the same piece of software. I usually try and help our clients find one that's both 2 in 1. And then this is the hard part, the ALU, the actionable layer unit, to figure out how do we translate this stuff from when, let's say, 700 people post the same thing on Twitter about our brand. Maybe we should do something about this. How do you set triggers, thresholds, and workflows to make things automatically happen? And then the last part is system of record integration. And this is what makes all the bells and whistles go off in your sales software. And so there's 3 systems that are really important here. This is where I'm going to use the lasers. So the first one, this is the social customer relationship management software itself. So this would be something like Salesforce or Goldmine or ACT or whatever. I guess Digital Alchemy is really popular in the hospitality industry. Has anyone ever used Digital Alchemy? You like it?
It's in its infancy. You obviously talking to JDB, and they're big on it.
They love it. I think JDB may be like the sort of the beta tester for a lot of their web features, so they may be using funky, souped up, what do they call, like an aftermarket version. Yeah. And then ERPs, enterprise resource planning. We'll put that on the next slide. So when you think of kind of where all of your stuff is internally, where man hours are allocated, a lot of that's under that kind of software. And the last part, this is the really important piece, is supply chain management. It's where the shampoo comes from. It's where the carpets are coming from. It's how Urban Outfitters knows that they need to produce another 7,000 sweaters because girls in New York, Pennsylvania, on the Lehigh University campus are talking about blue sweaters on Facebook. That's the kind of stuff that we're doing. Dynamic reallocation of supply chain, dynamic reallocation of your inventory. Yeah. This is pretty heavy stuff. So you don't have to memorize this whole thing, but just get the basic principle behind it. People are saying stuff, We've got to manage these communities because they own the conversation about our brands. We've got to feed it through these 3 little slices and kick it into one of these 3 guys. That's basically how this whole thing works. And we're going to make a lot of money if we can do it. So these 3 single sources of truth, I'm just going to break down what each one is again. So social CRM is the CRM software itself. That's taking the customer in and the subject of an amazing experience. So from check-in to check-out to post-sale to the side of sale. And some brands that you might see that do this in your industry. Salesforce is getting a lot of traction in hospitality. It's become a lot easier to use. Goldmine still doing pretty okay for very, very small hospitality brands. I saw it up in Folsom a few weeks ago. SimpleView is really aimed at the destination marketing organizations. They seem to own most of the DMOs. Like whenever I walk into a convention visitors bureau, I'm 99% sure it's going to be SimpleView. And then Digital Alchemy, and there's a lot of kind of niche hospitality ones. Then the second place where we need data to go is the enterprise resource planning system. So ERP is enterprise resource planning. So that's people, hours, and things. And so the concern of this system is to figure out that our people and our things are in the right place at the right time. Like, do we have enough plumbers on the 3rd floor, or do we have enough, toilet tissue on the 4th floor, or whatever it is. Is the elevator repair scheduled for tonight? That kind of thing. And some systems that I've seen in hospitality here, Oracle, J.D. Edwards, and a lot of people are going to what's called Open ERP, where you don't actually pay for the software. The software itself is free. You got to pay for a service contract. Sometimes people are the same. So there's pluses and minuses on both of those. And then the last piece here is supply chain management. And so this is the parts of our customer experience that need to be in the right place at the right time. Because if we don't have enough bath towels in stock or swimming pool towels in stock, it doesn't make for a pretty pleasant swimming experience. And so the brands that I'm seeing here are Oracle, Delphi, Sabre. And so is the idea that all 3 of these systems are supposed to integrate? Yes, there will be touch points between all of them, but usually not a wholesale integration. So I wouldn't envision every point of Delphi touching every point of Oracle, or every point of Salesforce touching every point of Oracle, but there will be usually some crossover between them. And so usually how do you figure that out is you work with your whole team across multiple departments, and you sit down and figure out which pieces are going to make the customer happiest. And so the outcomes for hotels, what you're trying to generate, this is the big one. Just RevPAR, raising the revenue per available room. And in the dog hospitality industry at our pet hotel client, they also call it RevPAR. It's revenue per available run, or revenue per available run. If anybody needs to hook up with San Francisco Pet Lodging, just let me know. So that's basically going to be associated with the size of the community around consumer brands. So what we've seen from our research in hospitality and clothing and consumer packaged goods is the bigger your community is, the more high your RevPAR is likely to be. I cannot establish causation, but I can prove the correlation, and I can prove it across multiple verticals, and I have the stats right here on my computer. So that's one to watch. The second one is new business, but we have to remember these are the least profitable customers until the 6th or the 7th stay. So I've been renting cars from Avis for 10 years. I'm finally, at age 32, becoming a profitable customer to Avis, but I wasn't so profitable for the first 2 years. So, and the other problem with this one, it's a slow burn. It takes 1 or 2 years for this to happen. So typically a social customer relationship management implementation, it's 2 to 5 years long. These are not little projects. And then the last part is the supply chain outcomes. This is kind of the least glamorous part, but it's actually where the low-hanging fruit is. So if you can consolidate things.
You use the Jeff Hasty term. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, you used the Jeff Hasty term.
I said a what?
Jeff Hasty term. That's like
it honestly is, and we found this across.
You're laser focusing on the screen. So.
Well, basically, by consolidating stuff in the supply chain according to what your customers need, like for example, putting all the waffles on the West Coast, or putting all beach towels in this part of the country, that kind of thing. Typically, you can consolidate purchasing power, and this is where maybe the entire chain will save the most money, the quickest, but long term, this is where the staff that you're trying to move the most. So these are the 3 typical outcomes: RevPAR, new business, and social supply chain. And so, what is the social business? So this is, across all departments. There's sort of typical behaviors of a social business and things that a social business doesn't typically do. So the first thing is that the business processes themselves are designed around social tools and designed around the notion of transparency, that your customer sees what you're doing.